I really don't trust what's going on in the pharmaceutical industry now. A lot of people died getting vaccinated.
If you're not really sure what all of the Bible says, then maybe you shouldn't quote it at all.
You need also have second child. How you have second child?
I don't want a second child. I'm one and done.
I gave my nephew a box of condoms. I'm like, you use these.
Daddy likes men, just like, mommy likes men, and sometimes men like men, and women like women.
When a parent is not present in the child's life, it does affect them. And I see it a lot, and it hurts me.
Welcome to the Be Free Show, everybody. My name is Brian Terada, and today we are asking the question, do gay parents and straight parents think the same? It is better for a child to have a mom and a dad as opposed to two parents of the same gender. Chris, let's start with you. Why do you strongly disagree?
Because I've got a number of same-sex couples that are raising children, and they're doing just as good of a job as any straight couple that I used to be or grew up with or know as well. I don't think that that makes a difference as much as what you're teaching the child. Well, I guess bisexual for a while, now identify as gay, but I was married and I have a 30-year-old son, and raising him both in the straight lifestyle and the gay lifestyle had its own challenges, certainly, especially when you're around friends that maybe don't understand that, or they don't have kids, or they want to go out and party and you can't. And that's a great example of whether you're gay or straight, you still have a responsibility to raise your child and be with your child.
My child's father and I, we're not a healthy couple. You can be toxic as a heterosexual couple, and I don't think staying in it is going to be beneficial for the child. And I think that as long as a child is loved and knows that they are loved, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, 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 male, male, whatever you identify as long as that child feels loved and safe within the household, I think that's all that matters.
I feel like a child has a mother for nurturing, and they have a father.
All right, everybody, it's time to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Bathmate. And disclaimer, I'm about to use the word penis because Bathmate is the world's #1 best-selling penis pump for a reason. Over 1 million men and their partners swear by it. Using water power, Bathmate acts like a secondary heart, safely drawing blood into the penis. This not only flushes out toxins, but also keeps your penile tissue healthy. Penile, new word for me today. Here's what you get with Bathmate. Harder erections, on-demand erections, erection predictability, more intense orgasms, and longer lasting stamina. And also, a lot of people will find this useful to boost their confidence and improve their relationship with their partner. Results vary by user and use, but you will feel a difference right away, with the best results coming about 2 weeks after regular use. Finally, Bathmate is so confident that you will love this product and it will improve your life in more ways than you realize that they're willing to give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, 100% refund if you don't like it. I actually learned a lot about the body and how it works as I was researching this product, and it's actually amazing what they know. They make this thing in the UK in an FDA inspected and ISO approved facility. And this thing is made out of the same stuff that's used in airplane windows and bulletproof plastic. High quality stuff right here. Thank you, Bathmate, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it.
You look up to, there are different gender roles. I grew up basically without a father, but I often look for father figures and I didn't really like my mom's boyfriend. I know my son looks for me for hugging and sweet, coddle him sometimes and stuff.
Gender shouldn't have specific roles. So often fathers are being praised for taking care of a child. They're watching the kid, they're washing dishes, they're putting them to bed. I don't think that those should have specific titles to it, and
he does all that,
which is great. And but I don't think a husband or a father should be praised where women are doing that daily, taking care of the kids. Or if a woman wants to go to work, I don't think there should be specific roles designated just because you're a man or a woman. So a man can be as nurturing, a woman can be a strong, influential, positive person for a child to look up to and have that sort of security with. I don't think just because you're a man or a woman that that should separate your roles in your child's life.
As a straight man, it doesn't really matter based off gender. You're gonna love your child regardless.
I don't believe in gender roles because I'll fix a car, I'll screw on something. I'm handyman at home, handy woman. I think it's just different for each individual, I guess.
I was fortunate enough to have my dad and my mom in the house, and I guess I just carry that same ideology or mindset that I believe it has to do with balance. Hearing what you two ladies are saying, it's opening my perspective. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, as long as the child is loved, I guess it just has to do with my upbringing that my dad and my mom were in the house. You know, I grew up in a house too where my parents were always arguing, and I was a lot older when they divorced. And I really believe that our parents did their best to raise each one of us. And we always tell ourselves, I don't want to be like my dad, or I don't want to be like my mom. But the reality, like, we do inherit traits from them. But as far as,
definitely,
you know, breaking that cycle, like you said, you know, breaking that, you know, that's what we want to do, like, for our kids. God created man and woman. There's traits a man and a woman can pass on to their kids. I applaud you for being strong women, that you have to wear both hats, and that's not easy. When a parent is not present in the child's life, it does affect them. And I see it a lot, and it hurts me.
Yeah.
Gay people cannot have kids, of course. Everybody know. And I think the Bible said also it's not, I'm not sure exactly, but it may not. Bible says it's not right to be gay too. It's not, I think, I'm not professional in the Bible, but I think Bible not really so.
Well, I would only say that if you're not really sure what all of the Bible says, then maybe you shouldn't quote it at all.
No, we can't say, because we have freedom.
Right.
So how I said, I respect gays,
right.
I respect Muslims, I respect
right.
Buddhists. So we need respect and talk. After 20 years, maybe you change it. You're gay, you become straight, you understand, you know. In general, it's all, because all my parents was married, and the parents all was male and female. My grandparents, my parents, were all was male and female. And now it's male, and you gay, right?
Mm.
So maybe his kids ask him, why you same gender, but usually parents most different gender, right?
But then you can just tell them, like, yeah, actually no, there's some parents who are the same gender.
What I've been doing with my daughter now, dating a woman. She has questions, and I tell her the same thing when I was with your dad. Now I'm with a woman, and I love her. Women can be together, it doesn't matter what sex you are, as long as you love and respect each other, that's the most important part.
No, but sorry. You need also have second child. How you have second child?
I don't want a second child, I'm one and done.
What about how said, example, Bible? Or do you go to church?
I actually am a Christian myself. I love God, I believe in God, I love Jesus. You know, the Bible tells you to love your neighbor, to love your neighbors, to love your enemies, to treat everyone with respect. So now the Bible has been manipulated by so many people. It's not the original Word of God. If anyone really knows what the original Word of God is, but from what he says, he doesn't want judgment, he doesn't want hatred.
Not only Bible, but only if you want second child or number three child.
I don't want a second child.
What about different people who wanted
if they want another child, then they can get a surrogate, they can get IVF.
So you take somebody else's child.
I don't think it's all about babies. There's a lot of people who don't want children. I don't think babies should be the deciding factor on creating a family.
A small amount of physical punishment is okay when raising children.
Spanking. Yeah, like when kids, they get out of hand sometimes. You do have to put your foot down. Sometimes trying to speak about the situation is just not enough. And if like the mistake is repeated over and over and frequently, then you have to take it to a higher height. And growing up, my dad was very disciplined physically with me. I won't get to that point, but a little spanking, it can do some good.
I'm not sure. I'm on the fence because my mom, I think, was a little overly physical, but I have spanked my son maybe a couple times. Yeah, and everyone says like, oh, that's why they don't respect you. they walk all over you, and like if they do talk back, I don't know what to do. I just like let him handle it or something. And he tells them, you better not or else.
I'm the more assertive one.
You said you didn't like act up because of like the way what your mom did for punishment. Do you feel like that was out of fear?
I think it was more fear. I thought she was very disrespectful, and I never wanted to disrespect my kids that way. Like, I never would slap them in the face. One time I said an F word, and I got so scared I ran away. And one time I hid inside of a washing machine. I was like 3 because did something wrong, and my sister couldn't find me for like an hour or 2.
Personally, I would never hit my child or spank her. I don't believe in that. I think it promotes violence and teaches them that's how you cope with emotions, or that's how you handle situations when you're frustrated, when you're mad, when you're angry, whatever it might be. I never want my child to be scared to come tell me something. And like there's been times I've yelled at her and been upset and frustrated, and like, but I would never get to the point of like physically putting my hands on her because I don't want her to think that's how we handle situations, and for her to think like someone at school is being mean to me and I keep telling them to stop, or like telling me like, and then she like socks them one day or like hits them or pushes them. I don't think that's productive. Now we've gotten into like a really good flow where she is receptive and like talks to me.
How
and,
your
like,
parents treat you? Your
sorry?
parents hit you? How your parents treat you?
My mom never hit me. My dad was strict with me, but I never was like beaten with a belt or anything like that, thankfully.
God, you know, I was hit a lot as a kid. My brothers were as well. My family was very loud and boisterous and yelled all the time, and I mean, I think that those actually transfer into us as adults and trying to manage our own adult relationships without yelling. But for me, it was important that when I did have a child that I didn't hit them like I got hit. There wasn't any belts, there wasn't any smacks in the face, there wasn't any smacks on the back of the head. You know, those kind of things to me are unacceptable. A little pat on the butt for punishment, yes, that's fine with me, which is why I'm standing here. My brother had a guitar smashed over his back one day, you know. Parents are people, and people get to their breaking point, and I think oftentimes they take it out on their child instead of just stepping back and saying, I need to calm down first. I was acting up, I was the kid in trouble all the time. Does that mean I should be getting whipped with racetrack little orange straps? You know, no, I don't think so.
No, we're not hit too strong, but I mean,
but it's
we
limited.
We know how old school was more, and also now they have law protection in this country.
Oh,
we just most of we say.
And we have that because some parents went overboard. A lot of parents went overboard to the point where now other people have to step in and say we have to have laws and rules so that you can't beat your kid to death.
Because now it's too much freedom, you know, it's difficult to be parents, right?
Go with the question you asked, I believe a small amount, you know, and mainly on, I don't remember where I saw this or heard it, but it's like, that's why when we spank on the butt, because, you know, we have cushion there, you know, the butt can handle it. I don't agree with people, you know, or parents, you know, using any other form of, you know, corporal punishment, like a slap in the face. Like this guy here got, you know,
hand slap.
You know, that too. But I mean, slapping in the face, slapping in the back of the head, like any other form of corporal punishment or discipline that's not on the behind or, like you said, on the slap in the hand. I don't agree with that.
Kids should be raised gender neutral until they can decide what they are.
Kids.
Basically, like you don't really assign them a gender until they tell you what they are.
I think, yeah, because boy, he's supposed to know his place, and he respects supposed to be girls, women, jobs.
What if your son wants like a tea set? Are you not going to buy it for him?
So respect girls. I think he needs to understand he have more responsibility with girls anyway.
There was like some controversy maybe like a year or 2 ago about young boys playing with like a kitchen set or like a cleaning set. Do you guys remember that at all? Do you remember that? Something like that is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
don't think
It's narrow-minded people.
yeah.
Tunnel vision.
So I think something like that, like how you're raising your kid up until they get to be like, now my daughter, she's always been very opinionated, but from a young age. But I mean, I don't even know an example, but like, for example, she's playing football, you know, flag football. She's doing basketball. She's doing dance. She's doing, like, she does all these different activities that aren't just like football is seen as like, and she's the only girl on the football team, you know? I think that as long as you're not like pushing the way you want them to be later on in life, and you're letting them kind of like dabble, like kind of feel things out for themselves, and you're not like, no, you cannot do that because that is only for boys or that is only for girls.
You know, I'm kind of in the middle because I agree with what a lot of folks are saying. Like, from my perspective, I don't think we should push certain things on them, like you've got to play with this toy or that toy. And, you know, I'll share a story. When my son was like 4, we went to a yard sale in the neighborhood, and there was some of those little tyke things there. And one of them was the kitchen set, which he kept playing with, and another one was this little slide that he played with once or twice. And after about 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'll take the slide. And I got home and I was telling my mom, I'm like, you know, he was really playing with this kitchen set, but I just kind of felt weird about getting him the kitchen set, because he's a boy. And she's like, well, why would you feel that way? And I was like, well, yeah. She's like, that's silly that you would feel that way. You know, you kids were little, you played with Barbies, you played with this, you played with that. And I had already come out at the time. And I think maybe I was just doing that from other people's perspective, like, I've got to make sure that they all think that I'm raising this boy straight or whatever. When I went back and got the kitchen, I said, screw it. You know, if that's what makes him happy, that's what makes him happy, you know. And I've got my best friend and his husband are raising 2 kids, and they're a boy and a girl, and they're very much like a boy and a girl in terms of getting into trouble. And, you know, from those logistics, yes, girls can get into trouble, and she does. But the boy likes to wear dresses. He likes to wear, he wore Hello Kitty for Halloween to school. And yeah, some of the kids pointed and some kids laughed, but he was so proud of himself that day because he didn't give a shit about what anybody else thought. And if he grows up to be a stronger, healthier person because of that, then that's what our job is as a parent, right?
I have had or am going to have the talk with my children. Whoa. Okay, wait, you guys are together, but you're not in the same area. What's going on?
He can do it.
He talks.
He's going to do it.
It's a boy thing. Like, they are same gender, so he can identify better with them.
I mean, I'll have a talk with her and teach her from my bad mistakes and lessons, and I don't want her to experience any of the things that I did, you know.
Be safe.
Be safe. The guys you like in high school aren't gonna matter when you're older and when life actually does matter. So don't, just, you know, I want her to, I'm a teacher from my experience, and I just want her to be safe and cautious, you know?
I'll see.
Yeah. And to respect your body, you know? I feel like as a female, you feel the pressure to sexualized, or if an older guy likes you in high school, you know, like the cool guy. Well, I don't want her to feel any pressure to do anything she doesn't want to do. Even if she thinks she wants to do it, she doesn't really want to do it. And I don't want her to feel like she needs to dress a certain way or look a certain way, or, you know, I want her to really protect her body. Your body is your temple, and not let anyone else make any decisions about her body for her. So
I would say, you know, the thing that I would teach my 2 sons is, like, you know, love yourself first. Don't go looking for love in somebody else. You know, if you don't feel like you love yourself enough, you're gonna have damaging relationships no matter who you're with.
Yeah, you can't.
Because you're trying to seek that love from another person, and that person's broken. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's kind of the thing that I've been doing with myself, like, you know, soul searching with myself. Like, I don't want to love somebody else if I'm not loving myself first. And if I go looking for it in another broken person, that's just going to be toxic relationship after toxic relationship, because I'm trying to seek that affirmation or that love from somebody else, and they don't even know what it looks. They don't even know what it feels like.
I gave my nephew a box of condoms. I'm like, you use these.
It's a little bit easier when it's your nephew.
Yeah.
that's the talk here.
Did you have a talk with your kids?
I have 2 young, 10 years, so I still
It's almost that time.
still too young, so I'm not
Oh,
sure if
but
I can talk to him
they
about
have an
Start.
idea,
sex
trust
or
me.
something.
You should
But you're
have
going
one.
to.
Condoms.
You're going to?
Oh, in a couple
I
years.
want to. I don't know how he said, man, be careful, slow down, take your time. Take your time.
I think Austin was 8 or 9 when I had the talk about, you know, daddy likes men, just like, you know, mommy likes men, and sometimes men like men and women like women. You know, do you have any questions about that? He's like, could we go to McDonald's? I'm like, yep, let's go. You know, and we talked a little bit more about it later, but it's like they don't really care unless you make it a big deal, you know, I think. At least my experience.
Vaccines for children are healthy and beneficial.
It depends which vaccines. Usually when we're small kids, we give us vaccines anyway. And we not control. We cannot say yes or no. I have mine right here all my life. Still mark my skin.
I think certain ones are mandatory or should be given. Like, I don't think the flu shot is mandatory. For infant ones like polio, of course, maybe measles, mumps.
I disagree because I guess it's just the faith that I was raised up in. Whenever a new school season would start, my parents refused to vaccinate us when they had that period. And it's just because my parents just had that strong belief that we didn't need it. You know, they trusted in God to protect us, our health and everything. Of course, when I was born, I don't know. I'd have to check with my parents. I probably was vaccinated as a baby. But just growing up in the school system, I was never vaccinated. None of my siblings were vaccinated because of what my parents believed. And I feel the same way, you know, about that, you know, and that especially now, like with everything that we went through during COVID, it's like when everything came out, like I just believe it's like I don't trust it, you know. I really don't trust what's going on in the pharmaceutical industry now. And, you know, a lot of people died getting vaccinated.
The whole thing being forced to get it too, like you would lose your job if you didn't get the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Was
That's why she got hers.
I had
really
to get
wrong.
because I
hers.
couldn't work.
And the fact that they were like
And I didn't want to.
forcing people, literally, I was like, there has to be something
I
off
didn't
about
do it.
this.
I didn't do it.
That you don't even have a decision. Like, thankfully, I didn't need
I
a
was
job,
just,
you know?
I was thinking good one for kids, good one, okay, normal, not too much, of course. I agree with him. You know, we respect all these Bibles and all, but I mean, little bit we can do.
I know it's a really tough decision during that time where a lot of people were, like you said, they were forced. It's like they give people ultimatums, and I was like, if I was in that situation, actually I was, and I think it was God's protection. You know, I was working as a shuttle driver, and the owner of the company, he said between him and I, like, don't let anybody else know that you're not vaccinated. If they ask you, just tell them you are. And I believe that was God's protection on my life, and probably the prayers of my dad, you know, so I wouldn't have to, and if I was faced with that situation, I would have probably just walked away and say, you know what, I'm gonna stand on my beliefs, and I know that something better will come along where I don't have to put myself in a compromising position to give in. You know, my son's mom and I, we had that talk with them and everything. If they decided to do it for any reason, it's not gonna change my love for them, but I just want them to be aware, like, I was like, you need to educate yourself. Like, don't just, you know, don't believe everything you see on the TV.
I think it's irresponsible not to vaccinate your children when they're young. We've spent a lot of time talking about how we have to give them love and support and encouragement and not push a gender on them. Then why wouldn't we want to care about their health as well? With measles, chickenpox, smallpox, polio, all those things that we know are killing people, that we know are debilitating, that we have a cure for polio for a reason.
Do you think the schedule that infants and children are, like the vaccine schedule that they are given is healthy? Like the amount that they're given in such a short period of time, do you think that is safe? I don't think that's safe for a child.
I do think it's safe, but I trust science. I trust the doctors. I trust the people that make those decisions. I don't know what milligram is safe for my infant for this drug, but they do, based on thousands of peer reviews, based on millions of dollars in research. you know, everybody was, you know, talking about the pharmaceutical companies, you know, and how they're trying to make money, which they do, you know, I'm not going to say that they don't, but, you know, when it comes back to the COVID piece, it's like, why would you not want to take something that's going to make you either not get sick or not get as sick or die from it? I mean, I watch people get sick and die from COVID. I got the COVID vaccine. I still got COVID, but it was much better than some of my friends that got it before the vaccine. I just go back to science, you know. I mean, as an educated person, I believe that all of the science that has gone into our immunizations are accurate.
I heard there's a correlation of kids getting autism from certain...
Which is not true. There's a lot of information out there. If you know, you do your own research, you know, and part of my family are anti-vaxxers. My husband's family is all anti-vaxxers. So, you know, we've had a lot of discussions about this, but I just think it's irresponsible not to take care of your child until they're of age to make their own decisions about immunization. And just going back to what you said, your beliefs are based on your parents' beliefs, which are based in God, which is fine. You're entitled to those, but there's no scientific proof on that. So do I want to put my faith in God, which I don't even know if there is one? No, I'm going to put my son's faith and his health in the hands of doctors who went to school for many, many years to learn about all that's healthy for us.
Thank y'all so much for watching, and thank you to our wonderful parents here for having that discussion, and we'll see you next time. Bye.